While the essence of life could be so much simpler, we often complicate it with unnecessary seriousness. Yet everything we need to do can be done with a lightness of spirit, as if we're playing a game. Erase that strict line between work and play, because living only gains meaning when it is lived with joy, like a game. And remember, not every moment of life has to be serious. Seriousness often brings weight, while play brings lightness. When we look around today, we see that nearly everyone carries a quiet belief inside them, like something is missing, as if they need to be smarter, more patient, more disciplined, calmer, less anxious, less angry. In short, they feel they need to be less human and more perfect. And so begins the endless chase. Always believing that just around the next corner, in some future moment, they will finally become a better version of themselves. But let me tell you something a little bold. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. Yes, you heard that right. In this very moment, with this breath, with this quiet presence whispering, "I am here," you are already whole and complete. Not morally perfect, not tidy, not polished, not living up to anyone else's standards, but perfect in your naturalness, like the curve of a flame, the bending of a tree in the wind, or the spin of a galaxy. You see, you're not separate from nature. You're not an observer looking in from the outside. You are nature itself. Just as stars, oceans, and clouds are part of it, so too are your thoughts, your laughter, and your tears. As real as ripples in water, as natural as lightning across the sky. And you don't need to prove anything to earn your place here, because you, just as you are already a breathtaking manifestation of the universe. That's why I want you to understand this deeply. You didn't come into this world, you came out of it. Just as an apple tree gives apples, the universe gave you. You are not a stranger here. This is your home. With your thoughts, your questions, your emotions, you are how the universe experiences itself. Unfortunately, from a young age, most of us were taught that we are outsiders, that we are small selves trapped inside skin, disconnected from the world. But that was only a trick of perception, a misunderstanding of language. In truth, there is no line where you end and the world begins. You are a seamless part of it. Just like a wave is not separate from the ocean, you are not separate from the cosmos. A flame has no boundary. It flickers, it twists, it flows. And so do you. You are not a static object. You are a verb, not fixed, but fluid. A being of memories, emotions, and thoughts shimmering like light. When you were born, the universe didn't make a mistake. It wasn't trying to test or fix you. It simply wanted to express itself. And it did. Through you. So uniquely, so beautifully. Your rhythm, your voice, your laughter, your silences, they are all yours. That's not random. It's design in its most spontaneous and sacred form. But this is where the trouble begins. From childhood, we were told to suppress our nature, to conform, to succeed, to become something. And so we embraced the biggest lie of all, I'm not enough. But let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a flower trying to bloom faster, or a tree straining to grow? They simply do, because it is their nature. And you are just like them. You are evolving, opening, unfolding. You are nature in motion, a living expression of life's play. You are not a problem to be solved. You are not a project to be completed. You are as marvelous as the stars and just as inevitable. Now, close your eyes for a moment and try to feel what it means to simply exist. No thought, no judgment, just being. That is you. Not the critic in your head, not your to-do list, just the bare presence of I am. And how could there be anything wrong with that? Look at the clouds. They don't line up in straight rows. They drift, swirl, form, and fade. And we never blame a wave for crashing too early or a tree for growing crooked. So why do we judge ourselves? This is the deepest illusion, that we must earn the right to exist. But life is already shimmering within us. Your imperfections are not mistakes. They are the notes in your unique music. You don't have to prove yourself worthy of life. Because you are life, like fire dancing, like water flowing, you exist effortlessly. Even your desire to grow, to transform, that too is part of your nature. And what if all of this chasing, this need to become better, what if it's just a thought? And what if you are not that thought? The thought comes and goes, but you are the silence behind it, the wide open space that watches without attaching. And when you don't just believe this, but feel it, something softens inside you. In that softness, that release, you remember something ancient and true. You are nature. Wild, free, not lacking, unfinished, yet already magnificent. And finally, when I say you don't need to do anything, I don't mean sit in stillness like a rock. I mean something deeper. You don't need to strain to be what you already are. Like a river flowing, life already carries you. Birds don't force themselves to sing. They sing because that is their nature. And you don't have to push to find meaning in life. Meaning arises on its own, like a breeze, like a laugh, like a melody rising softly from your natural being. True effort is hidden inside effortlessness. It's not about swimming against the current, but learning to flow with it. And then, in that moment when you stop trying to do life and start to simply be it, that's when the real dance begins. But here's the strange paradox. Most of us spend our lives trying to be ourselves. Yet the moment you try to be authentic, like reaching for a product on a shelf, you've already lost it. Because the self isn't something you can grasp. It's something you relax into. Trying to be spontaneous is like trying to fall asleep on purpose. The more you try, the further it slips away. We constantly ask, am I doing this right? Am I healed now? Am I authentic yet? But these questions only take us further from what we seek. It's like chasing your own shadow around the room. Now, of course, the effort isn't wrong. It's even a little charming, the ego trying to polish itself, sanding, refining, spiritualizing. But at some point, you begin to laugh. Because the one doing all the fixing is the very thing that never needed to exist in the first place. The whole thing is a bit of cosmic theater. You don't need to try to be yourself because you already are, exactly as you are, with your little quirks, your flaws, your silences, and your breath. Authenticity is not something you achieve. It's what remains when you stop trying. And that is freedom. Now let's go a little deeper. Did you create the image you have of yourself? Number, it was given to you, layer by layer, built from glances, comments, and expectations. Like a mirror made of other people's thoughts. From the moment you could speak, you were told who you are, what's acceptable, what's shameful, what makes you lovable, and what doesn't. And slowly, without realizing, you began to shape yourself according to those reflections. You became a patchwork self, stitched together from parents, teachers, rules, and systems. And one day, maybe in your 20s, maybe much later, a strange kind of exhaustion sets in. Not physical, existential. As if you've worn someone else's clothes for so long, you forgot how your own skin feels. That's when the rebellion begins. A whisper from within says, this person you've been performing as, that's not really you. And that whisper leads to the most liberating question of all. Who am I, really? The greatest danger is believing in your role. Because while the role can be useful, it's never truly you. You are the one playing the role. You are the one behind the mask. But society taught us to mistake the costume for the self. We squeezed ourselves into labels. The good girl, the strong man, the successful adult. And we forgot. that we are also a storm, a poem, a mystery. When someone says, "Be yourself," what they often mean is, be the version of you we like the most. But that too is a performance. True freedom begins when you stop performing. And no, you don't need to destroy the mask. You just need to recognize it for what it is. Then, you can wear it like a child playing dress up. Something you can put on or take off. Because the one beneath it, the one who isn't trying to impress, the one who doesn't shift to be loved, the one who doesn't strain to be enough, that quiet, watching presence was always there, and it was never broken. It just needed to be remembered. So what's left if you're not the voice in your head, not the roles you were assigned, not the identity you defended for years? What remains? Silence. The space in which thoughts come and go. The stillness behind the movement. That's where your true nature lives. Awakening isn't about adding more. It's not about collecting spiritual badges or perfecting your personality. It's about subtraction. Unlearning, like a muddy pond that clears when the stirring stops. You don't need to do anything for clarity. You just let the mud settle. But most of us fear silence. Because in silence, the ego cannot speak, and without noise, it starts to fade. But that's where your truth is hiding, not in striving, but in surrender, not in thinking more, but in thinking less, not with judgment, but with wonder. And in that gentle awareness, something shifts, like a quiet hum behind your chest, a soft spaciousness where the need to become dissolves, and all that remains is pure being, unconditional, just like that. So how does one live this way, without all the fixing, the polishing, the proving? The answer is in the sky. The sky doesn't cling to clouds. It doesn't chase the sun. It doesn't fight the storm. It simply allows everything to pass through. And you, if you loosen your grip on your story, you can live like that too. You don't have to constantly reshape yourself. You don't always need to be better, because once you realize you are the sky, the passing clouds lose their power. And then you begin to trust life. Not because you've figured it out, but because you no longer believe you have to. There is a rhythm to life. It's not found in the ticking of clocks, but in the beating of your heart. And when the pushing stops, you can finally hear it. Isn't that the irony? When you stop trying to live the right way, you begin to live in the real way. Less control, more wonder, less proving, more play. Because a tree doesn't try to be a tree, and a wave doesn't try to crash just right. They simply are. And so are you. Let yourself be lived, not fixed, but remembered. Because you, just as you are more than enough. And so we return to the beginning. There is nothing wrong with you, not as comfort, but as truth, radical and freeing. You are not a broken thing needing repair, not a spiritual project waiting to be completed. You are a mystery vibrating in the vastness of time, a brief song inside the silence. And if you could only see yourself correctly, not through judgment, but through awe, you would know you were never separate. You were never too much. You were never not enough. You were simply like that. Not flawless, but whole. Not perfect, but complete. And what remains now is only to remember, to set down the mask, to take a deep breath, and simply be. Because the moment you stop chasing after some future version of yourself, you realize you've been home all along. Not in someone else's approval, not in success as the world defines it, but in your own quiet presence, in the sacred simplicity of your being. And that is truly enough.